There we go.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching this. We have nobody watching right now actually physically with us, so we'll just record what we were going to say, and hopefully you guys will be able to check in a little bit later. I know it's probably really crazy with Halloween going on and kids' costumes and school events, so I'm sure things are tough right now. So anyway, I wanted to start off with two success stories that I had personally this week, actually over the weekend. So I had two events that I went to. They were both film related. One was on Friday night, and it was the type of thing where you went and actually it was catered, and I thought it was going to be like a dinner, but as per usual, I actually ate a little bit before I went, so I wasn't too hungry. And then when I got there, they were only serving ice cream. And it was like Cold Stone ice cream, and they were giving out free tickets for this ice cream. And if anybody is not familiar with Cold Stone, this type of thing where they mix and mash like tons of mix-ins, and they're usually like huge portions, like even the smalls are massive. And I actually had some, and I asked for one scoop. I was like, can I have just one scoop? And it was really funny because as he was scooping the one scoop, it was much smaller than I expected. And I was kind of like, ooh, now I want two. But I just went with the one scoop. And then I was able to, we were mingling and chatting, and I was able to just like really savor every bite. And I took the teeniest little bites, and it worked really well. What happens for me typically is when I eat sugar, I automatically want more sugar. So it's actually really hard for me to only have one scoop and only have one little bit. And what I noticed is when I got home that night, I was really tired, and I was craving more ice cream actually. But I didn't have any ice cream in my house. So this goes back to our clean environment theory, you guys. If we don't have junk food to eat in our homes, which I know is easier for some and than others, then you simply can't give in to your craving, right? Another plus is I was really tired, and so I pretty much went to bed immediately, and I had a pretty big day ahead of me because I threw an event the next day that was also film related, and I had to be up really early, and it was an all-day thing. And again, the next day, I went out to dinner after an event with some people that we hosted this event for, and I had a really healthy dinner. It was like salmon and like butternut squash or something, but it came with ice cream, and I actually didn't really even want it. But again, it was like one scoop, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna have the one scoop of ice cream, and it'll be okay. And what I realized as a couple of things is going on here is that, like, if you have access to just one, it's a lot easier. But at the event all day long, we had like plates and brownies, like platters of brownies and cookies and lemon bars. And that's where I personally get into troubles. Is like, if I'm going to have access to like going back to the buffet table and going back for seconds, going back to thirds, that's where it's easier for me to just like, it's literally easier for me to not have a brownie than to have just one brownie in that instance. So it's kind of some insights over there. And again, like this was 2 nights ago, Saturday night, I got home and I craved ice cream again because I had already had it, but I didn't have any ice cream in my house. So those are some little tips and tricks that you guys, in the past, I would have driven to go get ice cream because I would be that motivated. My cravings would be that strong. So, or I would have been like on the way home, I'd be like, let's go get more ice cream or something, So that kind of shows how these principles can bring you a long way, because I feel like I've come a long way to be able to do just that. So,
I love that.
Anyway,
I have examples too, Rennie.
Yeah, please go for it.
Oh, and my question to you, Rennie, is what is your motivation just to have one scoop? Like, why did you decide to have one instead of more?
It was an impulse on Friday. On both days, it was an impulse. And I think I've gotten to the point now where I know that like I'll be okay with one scoop, even though honestly, if I have ice cream in the house, I might go eat more ice cream afterwards. And that's the harder part. I do tend to do more of an ice cream scenario now for these days. So it's like, if I do have more sweets on hand, they're usually modified so that I don't feel quite as like indulgent, if that makes sense. Or if I just feel better about eating it, you know? But these two examples were fairly just impulsive, like, oh, just gonna have one. Normally I turn them down, typically.
Why do you, like, what's your motivation to turn them down?
To turn them down, because I know that it's a trigger for me to have more. And so if it's not a controlled environment, like, and I could have easily, I mean, this thought crossed my mind at the first event where I had a free ticket. I like really within like a couple seconds, I wanted to turn around and be like, I want more. Like, hey, I'm the girl who asked for just one scoop. Can I have another, you know? But I didn't. And I think, again, like, having this one scoop was very impulsive because it also felt like a quote cheat. I know we don't do the cheating, but like that one scoop felt indulgent to me because it's like, normally I don't partake. If that makes sense.
And like, what are you trying to avoid? Like, if you say I'm avoiding eating too much, but then what does happen to you when you have too much? What are the results that you don't like when you have too much sugar?
I don't like feeling full. I get a sugar crash and it creates more cravings. So on both nights I had sugar, I was craving more sugar, and I was able to not eat more sugar, partly because, you know, both environments were controlled to a certain degree. Like, I was only given one scoop of ice cream to eat, but I was also, when I got home, I didn't have more sugar in the house to eat, but I easily could have eaten more sugar if I did have sugar in the house, because I get triggered by sugar, right? And so it's like, sugar makes me want to eat more sugar. And sometimes I'll have the mentality, it's like, oh, screw it, I messed up or whatever. I ate sugar, I'll just eat more and I'll be good tomorrow, right? Like that was very much my old mentality of all or nothing, or the scarcity versus abundance. So it speaks pretty loudly to me because I feel much more of an abstainer, where it's easier to not eat sugar than to eat one scoop of ice cream or one brownie, that I was able to, you know, have that one scoop and on both nights and not go crazy feeling like I needed to eat tons more sugar later. Because those triggers used to be really, really powerful for me, really strong.
Okay. Interesting. So you just felt controlled by sugar. Like that was.
Yeah. And I think part of it is that, like, I'm very driven to like be in shape and look a certain way for my career and for fitness and modeling. And so I would have like these rules set for myself, and I'm not as strict about those rules anymore. I'm kind of like, well, I just look the way I look and I'm going to be okay with that. And if I feel like I need to tighten up or something for a photo shoot, I might take a day or two to really like, or a week even, to really, I don't know, cut up or whatever. But I don't do that as much anymore because I think the only person who can tell a difference is me. And that was me being obsessive.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, cool. So two things that happened with me is, so we're living at my mom's house right now. This is our old house and we're just packing up. So it's like bare. And so we're just cleaning. But I'm living with my parents and they have a bowl of M&Ms, and I did suggest don't get Halloween candy this year because she's always complaining about eating too much and then not feeling good and then her weight and everything. So I was like, just get toys for Halloween. And so she's like, thanks for suggesting that. That's what we did. But they did get one thing of M&Ms. And so it's really easy just to grab it, like, because we've been so busy, we haven't made time to eat as much as we should have. And so I found myself just grabbing some and mindlessly eating until I was doing the Marco Polo with one of my clients, and I had just put an M&M in my mouth as I was like talking to her, like, and that kind of triggered me, or like kind of woke me up and like, I'm mindlessly eating right now. And that's what I used to do a lot of, is just like, okay, food. And I don't like to eat sugar unless I'm really enjoying it, because it's just a waste. You know, it's not good for your body and all that. And so that helped me remember. I like laugh. I'm like, speaking of which, this is what I'm doing, is I'm like, I don't ever like to put sugar in my mouth right before I talk, because then I don't get to actually taste it. And why eat something yummy that's unhealthy if you're not tasting it? And so that was a good reminder. And stuff like that, like, no big deal for me, but it's just, I really love watching myself and seeing why I'm doing things. So I can kind of steer the results that I want, you know, and the consequences. So that was cool. And then another thing is, my family loves ice cream. And I don't like ice cream as much as I used to anymore because I got used to the nice cream that Rennie was talking about, which is bananas and raspberries. And it has such a fresh, sweet flavor that doesn't make you feel icky afterwards, that I just prefer that. But anyways, they had dinner and they're like, hey, who wants ice cream? And, you know, it's so easy to be like, yeah, I do. Sure, it's there, you know. But I took the time to ask myself, well, how would I feel after I ate it? Like, do I really want it? And I'm like, if there was no ice cream available to me right now, I wouldn't have thought about it and I wouldn't have wanted it. And so that's usually a sign for me that my body's not wanting it, because the mental pull of like the visual and everyone else is doing is very strong. But I know I feel my best when I'm listening to my body's cues. I have more energy. I have clearer thought. You know, I just feel clean and free. And I love that feeling. And so they asked me if I want ice cream. I'm like, no, thanks. I'm good. And that was actually kind of hard for me because it's so easy when everyone else is doing it. But I was glad that I thought about it beforehand before they asked me, because I was like, they're pulling out ice cream. They're probably going to ask me, do I want it? I don't feel like it, you know? And so that helped me stay true. So
do you think, I'm curious for you, Kurtley, do you think that resetting and kind of stepping away and having time away from sugar helps you listen to your body cues more? And because I think for me, what happens is like if I'm consistently like indulging in ice cream or kind of in that, like during the holidays or something, like my body wants more sugar because I'm giving it sugar. Does that make sense?
I totally saw that because since things have been so crazy with moving out and not being able to use the kitchen, I think I went to like get a burrito or a taco or whatever, like 2 days in a row. And then I totally saw my mentality like switch to like, ooh, I should go grab something. Ooh, I should go grab something. And since I just like sat back and observed, like interesting. And I even, because it's such an exciting treat to me, because I don't often do it as a child, it was very, very rare to go to McDonald's because we're so many kids, you know? And so that's always like, we get to go to McDonald's. That's so exciting. You know, that's still a really happy thought. And so if I went to fast food 2 days in a row, then I almost had this like feeling of go do it because it's fun. And even though my body, I was like, oh, but I won't feel good. But I could easily see how people just run by that body because they just have this weird mental compulsion that I totally felt. And I was like, I know how to stop this now because I don't like this feeling and I don't like how I feel afterwards. And so buck up, Curly, and figure out a way to make healthier food at home. You know, and so that happens a lot, whereas I just recognize the pattern. And like Rennie said, if I eat fast foods or sugar 2 days in a row, then you can bet I'm going to be thinking about it the third day. And if I keep feeding that self, then that's what my mind's going to go to. So
I love that. So I wanted to touch on motivation really quickly. We're technically in week 4. And I love our video that we made about motivation, and everyone should go watch it, of course, which is basically like, how do you get motivated? And this works with anything I find with like exercise and or eating well. And that is you don't. Motivation is very tricky. And that like 4 weeks ago, I bet all of you were like, yeah, we're doing the sugar program. I'm so excited. And you can even see that we've had a drop off in like even numbers of people participating in this Zoom right now. And I think partly because it's like, it's not new anymore. And so what creates motivation is action. And I noticed for me when I like the last couple of weeks, I've been a little bit sick. My grandma was in the hospital, so I have not been exercising as much, partly because of time and partly because my body has just been not wanting it. And so I went and I worked out today, but it was kind of hard to like, because it's like, oh, I don't feel like it anymore, you know, and I know I'm going to be sore. But what I do in those instances is I start really small with my workouts. And I literally like, I'm not going to go and have a crazy intense workout that lasts, you know, 30 to 45 minutes where I'm like killing it the whole time. I literally worked out for about 15 minutes, did a very simple stretch, and I came home and I had my workout for the day, and probably the rest of the week, I'm going to be much more motivated because it was like, oh, I'm back in the habit of it. So that's our motivation little.
Good timing for me too, because I haven't like, it's just wake up, go clean, like as fast as we can to get stuff done. And so I'm like, I need to exercise, not because I have to stay fit or trim. It's just like, I feel so much better when I exercise, and I want to do that favor to my body, you know? And so it's just a good reminder, if you don't have, like, if I don't have my normal routine, but I can do 5 minutes. I can do a 7-minute HIIT exercise, or I can at least stretch, you know? So it's easy to like all or nothing. I'm busy, so that goes. Yeah. Like you can do at least something. If it's a priority, then you can fit in something, and it'll just make you mentally feel proud of yourself and more confident and happier.
You can like check off that checkbox. I don't know. I get a lot of motivation actually out of completing tasks and like seeing how much I've gotten done. And anyway, even if it's just 7 minutes of stretching. So lastly, we want to talk about self-love today. And I was talking with a woman this past week who it was really interesting. She figured out that she doesn't love herself as much as she thought she did. And there was some external motivating factors that made her realize this, which was partly to do with her family. Her family said some things. One of her family members offered to pay her to lose weight, and it really hurt her feelings. It really stressed her out. And even her kids were like, "Oh, Mom, we're worried about your health." And it triggered this response in her where a couple things happened. She was really angry, and she was feeling like, well, aren't I good enough as I am? Like, you know, maybe I'm not in the perfect shape, but she wanted to like prove she was healthy. But then, and it also sparked a lot of anger in that, like, she was angry with herself for not staying on top of her health better. And she was also realizing that she had the words come into her head, "I hate myself." And I thought this was really timely. And I feel like, Oprah says that almost all of our issues that we struggle with, whether it's weight or, you know, a health issue or a financial issue or, you know, relationships issue, they stem from a place of not loving yourself enough. And so, and that seems really general, and that seems really vague in a way. But I feel really strongly about this. And I encouraged her to do some exercises, which I'm going to encourage you guys to do this week as well. I feel like self-love in a way is a very woo-woo, like out there thing. It's like, how do you love yourself? How does that work? And when you love another person, there's actions tied to that love, right? So you tell people that you love them. You physically hug people. There's physical touch involved in love. You create time for those people. You might give them things. So there's all these actions that are associated with loving other people that we want to start teaching here and encouraging you guys to do for yourself. And there's some amazing videos that, and actually month 3 is when we go really deep on this, but we want you guys to start like touching on this now. And currently some of your videos are incredible on this with mirror talk. But what I would encourage, maybe something really, really simple to do this week, is if you have a journal or just like a notebook, create a powerful sentence for yourself where it's like, I am powerful and successful, and I am blank, whatever the goal is for you. I want to lose 10 pounds. I am, actually put it in the present tense. I am blank amount of, you know, you've hit your goal weight. I am free from sugar. That was mine for a long time, actually.
Cool.
And you want to make it a positive statement, and you want it to be in the present tense and something that's very memorable. And I challenge you guys to write it down 25 times a day and to repeat it in the mirror. You can lock the door if you don't feel comfortable, if you don't want someone to walk in on you. Repeat it in the mirror at yourself while you're looking in your eyes, and also to repeat it as you're going to sleep. And if you do that for a week, you're going to start creating those neural pathways again. You guys, it's all about those neural pathways and creating habits of literally creating a message of self-love towards yourself. And I think that once we start doing that, you can start making even greater changes. I mean, having 1 scoop of ice cream sounds like not a big deal, but for me, that's a big deal. Like, 5 years ago, I was not in a place where I could have just one scoop of ice cream, and I would really beat myself up about it. Or if I had one scoop of ice cream, I would beat myself up about it and be like, oh, I'm not perfect. It's so stupid, you guys. It's so stupid. So anyway, those are my thoughts and my challenge to you guys on self-love. Curtly, do you want to add in to that?
Yeah, so I have something, I'm just starting to read a new book, and it's making me think a lot. And so there's, on the flip side, another way of looking at it that's interesting. So I'm wondering what you think about it. Because their thought is, well, what if you didn't care about if you liked yourself or not? Like, what if it wasn't a big deal? You know? And so there was some, I was like, at first I was like, wait, what? What?
Yeah, totally.
But then it's like, oh, yeah, what if it didn't, like, what if I got on with my life and just went forward? You know, but at the same time, I do, when I was in that spot where I was like always putting myself down, I just didn't like it. Like, it didn't feel good. And so for the sake of just like wanting to feel better, it's a lot easier to say nice things to yourself, period, end of story. You know, I'd rather just live a life like that. But the book is like, whether or not you like yourself, you can still accomplish great things. I was like, okay. Yeah, I guess there's a lot of people that have hated themselves and they still are famous, you know? Yeah. But still at the same time, it's just like, okay, so what if this wasn't so big of a deal, but at the same time, what if I just chose? What if this, like, just make it a simple decision to say nice things to yourself, because it's an easier, better way to live. And that's how it feels like to me. It's just like, okay, well, let's just keep going. I'm a human. Everyone's human. You know? So I'm still reading it and like trying to like understand their message and things. Yeah. But it's just kind of, it's interesting.
That's really interesting. Well, I think it goes back to a little bit of some of your videos where you talk about if you can't start with liking yourself, at least express gratitude for yourself. And anyway, that's the least that you can do. And I mean, it would be interesting to read that book, because my impulse is like, no, you have to like learn how to like yourself.
Yeah,
but I mean, you're right. There's plenty of examples of people who are, quote, famous, like Robin Williams, who really struggled with, you know, he ended his own life, and that's really hard, but he gave so much as well. And so it's hard for us to imagine, like, how could you feel that way?
Yeah.
But
I think at the end of the day, all I know is that when I see someone who loves themselves and like says nice things and is confident, I want that. Like, that is cool to me, and I want that. And that's what like triggered me to start changing, is because I saw people like, I like that. I wanted to be like that. And I don't have to be a certain way in order to be lovable, you know? Yeah. It's just like, I finally saw that, hey, we're all the same. We all have issues, big issues, but we still like, we're all trying to survive. And so why not just be easy on myself and be another cheerleader? Because
be on your own side.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's been nice, is when I have had really hard times, when I can at least tell myself I love myself and feel someone's love, it's given me a ton of comfort. And so, yeah, that's a huge plus for me.
I love it. Yeah. So anyway, that's our message for today. I hope you guys enjoy this. Let us know how you're doing. Reach out to us, and if you haven't for a minute reached out to your coach, reach out to us, and then let us know how you feel like your habit loops are going. And yeah. And thank you to those who have filled out the survey. If you haven't filled out the survey yet, please, I'll repost that as well. And I think we're good for today.
All right. See you guys. Have a great week. Happy Halloween too. Good luck.
Happy Halloween.